Most people think hair loss is just genetics or getting older, something you just have to accept and live with. But here's what researchers across major universities in the United States are now saying. Hair thinning and excessive shedding in women might have far less to do with your DNA and far more to do with what's happening inside your body right now, today. It's iron deficiency, combined with poor nutrient absorption, and it's being made worse by foods you probably eat every single day without realizing the damage they're causing. The hidden blockers sabotaging your hair regrowth include ultra-processed snacks that deplete your mineral stores, excess sugar that triggers inflammation around hair follicles, and even certain so-called healthy vegetables that, when eaten the wrong way, actually prevent your body from absorbing the iron it desperately needs for thick, strong hair. In the next few minutes, you're going to discover which common vegetables are secretly blocking your progress, which overlooked greens contain more hair-supporting iron than spinach, and the exact daily habits U.S. doctors are recommending to women who want visible results without expensive treatments or risky supplements. If you've been struggling with thinning hair, brittle strands, or slower growth, stay with me because what you're about to learn could change everything. Before we dive in, do me a quick favor. Hit that like button. Drop a comment with your age and what city you're watching from so we can build this community together. And if you know someone dealing with hair concerns, share this video with them. Let's get started. Now let's talk about the vegetables you might want to limit or prepare differently if you're struggling with hair loss. These aren't dangerous or toxic, but when consumed in large amounts or prepared incorrectly, they can interfere with the very nutrients you're trying to increase. The first one is raw spinach. And yes, I know this seems contradictory since spinach is often promoted for hair health. The issue isn't spinach itself, but the way it's typically consumed and the quantity. When you eat large amounts of raw spinach, for example, in a big salad or a green smoothie every single day, you're taking in high levels of oxalates. These oxalates not only bind to the iron in the spinach itself, reducing how much iron you absorb from that meal, but they can also bind to iron and other minerals from other foods you're eating at the same time. Over time, if raw spinach is a daily staple in large quantities, you could actually be creating or worsening an iron deficiency without realizing it. The solution isn't to avoid spinach completely, but to cook it. Boiling or steaming spinach significantly reduces the oxalate content, making the iron and other minerals more bioavailable. If you love spinach, enjoy it cooked in soups, sautéed as a side dish, or wilted into pasta dishes, and limit the massive raw spinach salads or smoothies to occasional treats rather than daily habits. A registered dietitian in New York who works with women experiencing hair thinning told me she often sees clients who are eating huge kale and spinach smoothies every morning thinking they're doing something great for their health, but their iron levels are actually trending downward. When she has them switch to cooked greens and vary their vegetable choices, their numbers start improving. The second vegetable to be cautious with is raw kale, especially in large amounts on a daily basis. Kale contains compounds called goitrogens, which can interfere with thyroid function when consumed in excess. Your thyroid gland produces hormones that regulate metabolism, energy levels, body temperature, and yes, hair growth cycles. When thyroid function is disrupted, even slightly, one of the first noticeable symptoms in many women is changes in hair texture, increased shedding, or slower growth. This doesn't mean kale is bad for you. It means that eating several cups of raw kale every single day, which some people do in the name of health, could potentially create problems over time, particularly if you're already dealing with thyroid issues or borderline thyroid function. Cooking kale, just like with spinach, significantly reduces the goitrogen content and makes it much safer for regular consumption. Roasted kale chips, sautéed kale, or kale added to soups and stews are all excellent ways to enjoy this nutrient-rich vegetable without the potential downsides. If you absolutely love raw kale salads, limit them to once or twice a week rather than daily, and make sure the rest of your diet includes iodine-rich foods like seaweed, fish, or iodized salt to support thyroid function. A woman from Portland in her mid-30s shared with me that she had been eating massive kale smoothies every morning for over a year, and during that time her hair became noticeably thinner and her energy levels dropped. Her doctor ran a thyroid panel and found her thyroid function was slightly low. She cut back on the raw kale, started eating more cooked vegetables and seafood for iodine, and within about 6 months, her hair thickness started returning and her energy improved. This is a perfect example of how even healthy foods can cause problems when consumed in extreme amounts or the wrong preparation. The third vegetable to watch is raw cabbage, particularly in large quantities or as a daily juice. Cabbage is another goitrogen-containing vegetable, and while it offers many health benefits including vitamin C and fiber, overconsumption in raw form can suppress iodine uptake and affect thyroid hormone production. Cabbage juice became trendy years ago for digestive health, and while it may help some people with certain gut issues, drinking large amounts daily could potentially interfere with your thyroid over time, especially if your iodine intake is already low. The same advice applies here. Cooking cabbage reduces the goitrogen content significantly. Cooked cabbage in stir fries, soups, or as sauerkraut that's been fermented, which also reduces goitrogens, is a much safer way to include this vegetable regularly. If you enjoy coleslaw, that's fine occasionally, but don't make it a daily staple in huge portions. Balance and variety are key. Your body thrives on diverse nutrient inputs, not on the same foods in massive quantities day after day, even if those foods are generally considered healthy. Now, let's look at 6 vegetables that contain more usable iron than spinach, and are far better choices for women focused on hair support. These aren't exotic or hard to find, but they're often overlooked because spinach gets all the attention. The first one is drumstick leaves, also called moringa leaves. Fresh moringa leaves contain around 4 milligrams of iron per 100 grams, which is already higher than spinach, but the real advantage is that moringa has lower oxalate content and comes packed with folate, vitamin A, and amino acids that support keratin production. Keratin is the structural protein that makes up your hair, and without adequate building blocks, your body simply can't produce strong strands. Nutrition researchers studying plant-based iron sources often highlight moringa as one of the most bioavailable options, meaning your digestive system can actually extract and use the iron more efficiently. You can find moringa in dried leaf form at health food stores or online, and it works beautifully in soups, stews, or even blended into a morning smoothie with a bit of lemon juice. The vitamin C in lemon dramatically increases iron absorption, so this combination is particularly powerful. Some women like to make a simple moringa tea by steeping the dried leaves in hot water for 5 minutes, then adding a squeeze of fresh lemon and a touch of honey. Drink this first thing in the morning on an empty stomach for maximum absorption. The second vegetable with more iron than spinach is amaranth leaves, sometimes called choulai or Chinese spinach. Amaranth greens contain roughly 3.5 milligrams of iron per 100 grams and have better mineral absorption properties than regular spinach. These leaves are also rich in calcium, magnesium, and vitamin K, all of which contribute to healthy hair follicle function and overall scalp health. The calcium supports cellular communication in the follicle, while magnesium plays a role in energy production at the cellular level. If your cells can't produce energy efficiently, hair growth slows down because the follicle simply doesn't have the resources it needs to keep building new strands. Amaranth leaves are popular in South Asian and Caribbean cooking, and they have a mild, slightly earthy flavor that works well in stir-fries, soups, or mixed with other greens. To prepare them, rinse the leaves thoroughly, then sauté them in a bit of olive oil with garlic, onions, and a pinch of turmeric. Turmeric is anti-inflammatory and may help reduce scalp inflammation that can interfere with hair growth. Add a squeeze of lime juice at the end for vitamin C, and you've got a nutrient-dense side dish that directly supports hair health. You can eat this 2 or 3 times a week as part of your regular meals. If you can't find fresh amaranth leaves in your area, check international grocery stores or farmers markets during the growing season, typically late spring through early fall in most U.S. regions. The third option is beet greens, the leafy tops of beets that many people throw away without realizing how nutritious they are. Beet greens contain about 3.1 milligrams of iron per 100 grams, along with nitrates that support healthy blood flow to the scalp. Good circulation is absolutely essential for delivering oxygen and nutrients to hair follicles, and anything that improves blood flow can indirectly benefit hair growth. The nitrates in beet greens convert to nitric oxide in your body, which relaxes and dilates blood vessels, improving circulation throughout your system, including to your scalp. Dermatologists sometimes recommend scalp massage for this exact reason, because the mechanical stimulation increases local blood flow, and eating foods that support circulation from the inside works in a similar way. Beet greens have a slightly bitter taste, so they're best when cooked rather than eaten raw. Try chopping them and adding them to a vegetable stir fry, or saute them with olive oil, garlic, and a splash of balsamic vinegar to balance the bitterness. You can also chop them finely and mix them into scrambled eggs or an omelet for a nutrient-packed breakfast. A woman in her early 40s from Denver told me she started using beet greens after learning they were edible, and she noticed her scalp felt healthier, less dry and flaky, within a few weeks of eating them regularly. She also made sure to drink plenty of water throughout the day, because hydration works together with good circulation to keep the scalp and follicles functioning properly. Swiss chard is another excellent choice, coming in at around 3 milligrams of iron per 100 grams. Swiss chard also provides magnesium, which is involved in over 300 enzymatic reactions in your body, including those related to protein synthesis and energy metabolism. Since hair is primarily made of protein, specifically keratin, adequate magnesium helps ensure your body can build and repair hair strands efficiently. Swiss chard has beautiful, colorful stems that can be red, yellow, or white, and both the stems and leaves are edible. The flavor is mild and slightly earthy, similar to spinach but less prone to causing the same absorption issues. To prepare Swiss chard, separate the stems from the leaves because the stems take longer to cook. Chop the stems and saute them first in a bit of coconut oil or olive oil for about 3 minutes. Then add the chopped leaves and cook for another 2 to 3 minutes until wilted. Season with sea salt, black pepper, and a squeeze of lemon juice. This makes a perfect side dish for lunch or dinner, and you can eat it 3 to 4 times a week. The vitamin C from the lemon enhances iron absorption, and the healthy fats from the oil help your body absorb the fat-soluble vitamins present in the greens, including vitamin A and vitamin K. Fresh parsley is often overlooked as just a garnish, but it's actually remarkably dense in nutrients. It contains about 3 milligrams of iron per 100 grams and is exceptionally high in vitamin C, which, as I've mentioned, dramatically improves iron absorption. The combination of iron and vitamin C in the same food makes parsley particularly efficient for boosting your iron levels. Parsley also contains compounds that have mild diuretic properties, which can help reduce water retention and inflammation, and chronic inflammation is increasingly recognized as a factor in hair thinning and loss. You can use fresh parsley in large amounts, not just as a garnish, but as a main ingredient. Try making a Middle Eastern-style tabbouleh salad with lots of chopped fresh parsley, diced tomatoes, cucumbers, a bit of bulgur wheat or quinoa, lemon juice, and olive oil. This dish is refreshing, nutrient-dense, and you can eat a generous portion as a meal or side dish. Another option is to blend fresh parsley into smoothies, along with fruits like pineapple or mango that mask the strong flavor, or make a green juice with parsley, cucumber, celery, lemon, and a bit of ginger. A nutritionist I know in California recommends eating at least a quarter cup of fresh parsley several times a week for clients concerned about hair health, and she's seen positive feedback from women who commit to this habit over several months. Mustard greens round out this list with about 3.2 milligrams of iron per 100 grams. Mustard greens also contain sulfur compounds, which are particularly interesting for hair health because sulfur is a component of keratin and collagen. Adequate sulfur intake supports the structural integrity of hair strands, potentially making them stronger and less prone to breakage. Mustard greens have a peppery, slightly spicy flavor that adds character to dishes. They're excellent when cooked down with onions, garlic, and a bit of smoked paprika or red pepper flakes. In southern U.S. cuisine, mustard greens are often slow-cooked with a ham hock or turkey for flavor, but you can also prepare them vegetarian style with vegetable broth, olive oil, and plenty of seasoning. Cook them until they're tender, about 20 to 30 minutes, and serve them as a side dish with whole grains and lean protein. The key with all of these greens is consistency. Eating them once won't produce visible results, but incorporating them into your regular meal rotation 2 to 4 times a week over a period of several months gives your body the sustained nutrient supply it needs to support healthy hair growth from the inside out. Another hidden obstacle is chronic stress and poor sleep. both of which directly impact hair health through hormonal pathways. When you're under constant stress, your body produces elevated levels of cortisol, a stress hormone that, in high amounts over long periods, can push hair follicles into the resting phase and keep them there. This is why people often notice increased hair shedding a few months after a particularly stressful period. The delay happens because hair follicles don't react immediately, but go through a growth cycle that takes weeks to months to complete. Poor sleep compounds this problem because sleep is when your body does most of its repair and regeneration work, including hair growth. Studies have shown that people who consistently get less than 6 hours of sleep per night have higher levels of inflammatory markers and lower levels of growth hormones, both of which negatively affect hair. US doctors and dermatologists now routinely ask about sleep quality and stress levels when evaluating hair loss because the connection is so well established. Practical steps you can take include establishing a consistent sleep schedule where you go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, even on weekends. Creating a bedtime routine that signals to your body it's time to wind down, such as dimming lights, avoiding screens for an hour before bed, and doing something relaxing like reading or gentle stretching, and incorporating stress management practices into your daily life. Even just 10 minutes a day of deep breathing, meditation, or a short walk outside can help lower cortisol levels. A woman from Chicago in her late 40s told me she had been dealing with noticeable thinning for over a year, and when she finally committed to getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night and started practicing 10 minutes of meditation each morning, she noticed less shedding within about 2 months. She also improved her diet during this time, so it was a combination of factors, but she firmly believes the sleep and stress management were critical pieces of the puzzle. Let's talk about protein intake, because this is another area where many women unknowingly sabotage their hair health. Hair is made almost entirely of protein, specifically keratin, and if you're not eating enough high-quality protein every day, your body simply doesn't have the raw materials it needs to build strong, healthy hair. The recommended dietary allowance for protein is about zero point 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight for the average adult, but many nutrition experts and doctors believe this is the bare minimum to prevent deficiency, not the optimal amount for thriving health, including healthy hair, skin, and nails. For a woman weighing 150 pounds, which is about 68 kilograms, that minimum would be about 54 grams of protein per day. However, research suggests that consuming closer to 1 to 1.2 grams per kilogram, which would be 68 to 82 grams for that same woman, supports better overall health and tissue repair, including hair growth. Many women, especially those who are very busy, dieting or eating mostly plant-based, without proper planning, fall well short of even the minimum. They might have a light breakfast like toast or cereal with very little protein, a salad for lunch with maybe a few chickpeas, and then a small portion of chicken or fish at dinner, ending the day with only 30 to 40 grams of protein total. Over time, this chronic underconsumption means the body has to ration protein for the most critical functions, and hair gets deprioritized. To fix this, start including protein at every meal. For breakfast, try eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, or a protein smoothie with protein powder, nut butter, and berries. For lunch, include a palm-sized portion of chicken, turkey, fish, tofu, tempeh, or legumes. For dinner, do the same, and consider having a protein-rich snack in the afternoon, like a hard-boiled egg, a serving of jerky, or hummus with vegetables. Tracking your protein intake for a few days using a simple app can be eye-opening and help you see where you might be falling short. Now let's talk about how to put all of this together into a realistic daily routine that supports hair health without being overwhelming or impossible to maintain. The key is to start small and build habits gradually rather than trying to overhaul everything at once, which usually leads to burnout and giving up. Start your morning with a glass of water, maybe with lemon squeezed in for vitamin C, and to help wake up your digestive system. For breakfast, choose a protein-rich option like scrambled eggs with sautéed Swiss chard or mustard greens on the side, or a smoothie made with protein powder, frozen berries, a handful of fresh parsley, and a bit of almond butter. If you prefer oatmeal, cook it with milk or a fortified plant milk for extra protein, and top it with nuts, seeds, and fresh fruit. Mid-morning, if you get hungry, have a small snack like a handful of almonds or an apple with a bit of cheese. For lunch, build a meal around protein and cooked vegetables. Try a quinoa bowl with grilled chicken or chickpeas, roasted beet greens or amaranth leaves, cherry tomatoes, cucumbers, and a dressing made with olive oil and lemon juice. Or make a soup with vegetable broth, lentils, chopped kale or chard, carrots, and celery, seasoned with garlic, turmeric, and black pepper. In the afternoon, have another protein-rich snack if needed, like Greek yogurt or hummus with vegetable sticks. For dinner, focus again on protein and vegetables. Baked salmon with sautéed mustard greens and roasted sweet potato, or a stir fry with tofu, lots of colorful vegetables including cooked cabbage and chard, served over brown rice or cauliflower rice. Throughout the day, sip water regularly, aiming for at least 8 cups total. In the evening, start winding down an hour before bed by dimming lights, putting away screens, and doing something calming. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of sleep in a cool, dark room. This kind of routine provides consistent protein, iron, vitamins, and other nutrients your hair follicles need, while avoiding the pitfalls of too much raw spinach, kale, or cabbage, minimizing sugar and processed foods, and supporting overall health through hydration and sleep. You don't have to be perfect every single day. Life happens, and there will be days when you eat out or have a busy schedule that disrupts your routine. That's completely normal. The goal is consistency over time, not perfection. If you can follow this general pattern 5 or 6 days a week, you're giving your body what it needs to support healthy hair growth. It's also worth mentioning that results take time. Hair grows slowly, on average about half an inch per month, and hair follicles go through growth cycles that last months to years. When you start eating better and supporting your body nutritionally, you're affecting the hair that's currently growing and the follicles that are preparing to start a new growth cycle, but you won't see visible changes overnight. Most women start noticing less shedding within 2 to 3 months of consistent dietary and lifestyle changes, and visible improvements in hair thickness and texture within 4 to 6 months. This timeline matches what dermatologists typically tell patients when they start treatment for hair loss, whether that treatment is nutritional, medicinal, or both. Patience and consistency are your best friends here. Take progress photos every month, not to obsess over them, but to have an objective way to see changes that happen gradually. You might also notice other benefits along the way, like better energy, clearer skin, improved mood, and better sleep, all of which are signs that your overall health is improving, and that creates the foundation for healthy hair. If you've been implementing all of these strategies consistently for 6 months and still aren't seeing any improvement, it's worth seeing a doctor to rule out underlying medical conditions. Thyroid disorders, polycystic ovary syndrome, autoimmune conditions, and certain medications can all affect hair growth, and these need to be addressed medically. A doctor can run blood tests to check your thyroid function, iron levels including ferritin, vitamin D, vitamin B12, and hormone levels to see if there's an underlying issue that needs specific treatment. There's no shame in seeking medical help, and in fact, it's the smart thing to do if dietary and lifestyle changes alone aren't enough. Many women find that a combination approach works best: eating well, managing stress, sleeping enough, and also working with a healthcare provider to address any medical contributors. One more thing I want to emphasize is the importance of being kind to yourself throughout this process. Hair loss and thinning can be emotionally difficult, especially for women, because our culture places so much emphasis on hair as a marker of beauty and femininity. It's easy to feel frustrated, embarrassed, or even ashamed when your hair isn't what you want it to be. But remember that you're taking proactive steps to support your health, and that deserves recognition and celebration. Every healthy meal you prepare, every good night's sleep you prioritize, every glass of water you drink is an act of self-care and self-respect. Progress may be slow, but it's real, and you're worth the effort it takes. Surround yourself with supportive people, whether that's friends, family, or online communities of women going through similar experiences. Share your journey, ask questions, and encourage others. There's power in community and in knowing you're not alone. So here's what I want you to take away from this. Hair health starts from the inside out, and the foods you eat every single day matter more than any expensive shampoo or treatment. Focus on getting enough protein, choosing iron-rich vegetables like moringa leaves, amaranth greens, beet greens, Swiss chard, parsley, and mustard greens, and preparing them in ways that maximize nutrient absorption by pairing them with vitamin C and cooking them when appropriate to reduce compounds that block absorption. Limit or modify your consumption of raw spinach, raw kale, and raw cabbage if you're eating them in large amounts daily, because the very compounds that make them healthy in moderation can interfere with nutrient absorption and thyroid function in excess. Cut back on sugar and ultra-processed foods that create inflammation and starve your follicles of nutrients. Manage stress, prioritize sleep, stay hydrated, and be patient with the process. Your hair didn't thin overnight and it won't recover overnight, but with consistent, healthy habits over months, you can create the internal environment your body needs to grow stronger, thicker, more resilient hair. Start today with just one small change. Maybe it's adding a serving of Swiss chard to your dinner tonight, or swapping your afternoon cookie for a handful of nuts, or committing to going to bed 30 minutes earlier. One small change builds momentum, and momentum builds habits, and habits create transformation. You have the power to influence your hair health through the choices you make every single day, and that's incredibly empowering. Don't wait for the perfect moment or the perfect plan. Start now, start small, and stay consistent. Your future self, with healthier, thicker hair and a stronger, more vibrant body, will thank you for the commitment you make today. Drop a comment below and let me know what city you're watching from, how old you are, and what your biggest challenge has been with hair health. I'd love to hear from you and support you on this journey.